EPAWA meteorologist Bobby Martin here with your outlook for Labor Day Monday, September 2nd, 2019. We are having the daily forecast video today. We are not updating the local forecast graphics. That will not be done on the website until Tuesday morning. I still have the forecasters out enjoying the holiday, and I'm around this evening, so I am, of course, updating the daily video as promised. So today we have mostly cloudy skies with a front moving through. We're going to have an opportunity for a few showers early this morning, maybe some embedded thunder with that as that moves through during the morning hours. And that's this generally the northern half of our coverage area. If you split it in half, and it would be favoring the northern half for that. I'll show you the NAM here in a second. And then later in the afternoon, we have scattered showers and thunderstorms that will move through ahead of this boundary. And then once this moves through, we are drying out. So Tuesday is a much quieter day. And temperatures will still be warm, however. We're just going to be going to mostly sunny skies in the wake of this system. Now down here, of course, is Major Hurricane Dorian, and this is a beauty. This is a doozy. There's Category 5 storm at the time this video was recorded, and it still has winds of 180 miles per hour, which is actually lower than its peak, or its apex at 185, which it spent most of yesterday at. But as at the 11 o'clock National Hurricane Center advisory, it was down to 180 miles per hour, but still, Category 5 starts at 157. Not really that big of a deal. Did have some lane interaction over the Bahamas. I'll show you that here in a second. We are going to go into a description of Dorian in this video as well, so we just want to get through the week forecast here first. We do have another cold front that's going to come through here on Wednesday. This has very isolated activity with it, not much at all. It's going to be very warm here on Wednesday ahead of this frontal boundary. Temperatures might even make a run at 90 degrees down here by Philadelphia and points south and east interior South Jersey, parts of Delaware. So it'll be very warm here on Wednesday, and then this front comes through, and we have a trough setting over the region, which is going to take the temperatures back considerably on Thursday and last it through the weekend. Of course, down south, we're going to be watching closely the remnants, or not the remnants. This is still intact here at this point. This is probably still a major hurricane or a Category 2 hurricane just off the coast of South Carolina, North Carolina, and is going to make its way off to the northeast. And some modeling as early as Wednesday night is bringing some outer band rains for this into our region. Now, this is just rain. This is not hurricane. This is not tropical storm even. This is it is down here as it's exiting the outer banks. Down there, they're going to have one hell of a time, with a probably a Category 1 or 2 hurricane here at this point, rapidly heading northeast. But we could get some fringe impacts, especially our southeast areas down toward the shore points especially. Rip currents are going to be a definite. Even if this ends up a little bit further southeast, you're still going to have rip currents to deal with at the shore points. But you could have some moderate rain here near the shore points and some gusty winds. Might even reach low-end tropical storm force winds here right along the coastal regions of Delaware and southern New Jersey, and of course Ocean City, Maryland. We'll watch that closely. But you can see Friday morning we have some showers over our region. This is an association with Dorian as it's moving off to the northeast, but it is not going to be producing the winds that you're going to see further south and east, and especially down here by the Outer Banks and all the way up to about Chesapeake Bay, somewhere like there, up in those regions. But this will move away, and then we will set up a nice weekend after that here locally. Dorian will be a memory and something for the record books, because it is certainly going to be a record books type thing. Here is a look at the NAM high-res future simulated radar for today. This is looking at 6 a.m. this morning. Again, a line of showers and maybe some embedded thunder moving across during the course of the morning. This is now looking at noon, so it's moving away at that point. And then once we get to about 3 o'clock or there, about mid-afternoon, we start seeing some very widely scattered showers and thunderstorms popping up here, and they will move through our region through about mid-evening or thereabout, and then die off, of course, after sunset. So we do have the opportunity for some scattered thunderstorms. A few of these could have some gusty winds with them. I don't expect any widespread severe. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a severe thunderstorm warning pop up or two as this moves through. But they're going to have a lot of, we have the showers and those clouds, convective inhibitors early on that's going to limit some of that. I think if you're going to have anything pop, it's going to be down here across southeast PA, just because they have a little bit more in the way of sun peeking through, whereas areas further north are going to be dealing with showers earlier on. So we'll keep a close eye on that today, but I don't expect this to be a big deal. It looks like a window of 3 to 9 p.m. today for those storms. Of course, the early activity in those areas we outlined for those showers this morning. Now, here is Major Hurricane Dorian, and is now making, at this time the video is recorded, making a third landfall. Of course, it made a landfall here at Elbow Cay, which is this little island right here. It made a second landfall near March Harbor, which is on the Great Abaco. I think this is what this is called, this island here in the Bahamas. And this is Grand Bahama here, and Freeport's down here. Okay, so this is moving, still continuing to move westward. Actually, the latest advisory has this moving westward at 6 miles per hour. Picked up a mile per hour in speed. Actually, was down to 5. Now it's 6. And it's continuing its trek westward here across the island of Grand Bahama. If you look off to the west here, not too far west, this is the Florida eastern coastline here. So this is very dangerously close. It has a lot of people scared, hoping for this northwest turn eventually. And we do think it's going to happen. As a matter of fact, all the models have it happening, and you're really hoping that models are correct on this one, because if they're not, they're going to be a world of hurt in places they're not expecting it to occur. But I don't. If this did keep on a due west path, it would run into West Palm Beach, which is right about here. But we do think it's going to curve off to the north here. Now the question is, when does that curve take place? And we don't know that yet. We still don't know that here. We're sitting here at 11 o'clock at night on Sunday night, and this is still not decided where this is going to go. All right. The general thinking here is it's going to come to a point. See where it is right now. It's going to come to a point right about here or thereabout, and then start to make a turn like this. And it's going to be a very slow trek from here to here. That's going to take a full day to get from here to here. Okay, so this is where it should be when you're watching this video somewhere in the morning. It'll be somewhere right around here or thereabout, okay? Tuesday morning, it's going to be over here somewhere. Or it could be a little west of that, all right? A little closer to the coast. We don't know that yet, all right? How sharp is that turn? And there's going to be some upwelling in between here, between those two X points that I just drew here and here. Upwelling because it's going to be moving so slow. And yes, the waters beneath it are very, very warm, mid-80s or thereabout. Mid to upper 80s in some cases as far as water temperatures, which is enough fuel for these hurricanes. But if it's moving so slow, it's upwelling the colder waters underneath the surface and bringing them to the surface, so it doesn't have as much fuel to keep going, or at least keep intensifying. So it'll start to decrease in intensity as it comes across here, but it's still going to be a Category 4 hurricane likely when it's paralleling the coast of the east coast of Florida. The Bahamas Radar is also indicating, if you look at the latest radar here, I have to use this radar because the Miami radar is still out of range. You can see the inner core is right here, but there's also an outer ring maxima forming around this, which may indicate there might be an eyewall replacement cycle. Now, what that does is it temporarily weakens the hurricane, but it expands the wind field. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword there. All right, so you get a little bit lesser in the intensity, but at the same time, if this eyewall replacement cycle does in fact happen, this hurricane is going to get larger, and the wind field is going to extend to more areas. So this will not have to make landfall along the east coast here. It will not have to make landfall. Just come close to it, and you'll still get some pretty good wind pretty far inland. So there are some models that are indicating a landfall, and most of the global models keep it offshore, or at least just offshore. Here is the HWRF, and this is the 18Z run from this evening. Very close to the actual position of where it's at right now compared to this, and you can see it's over the eastern part of Grand Bahama at the moment, moving westward, and that's pretty much where it has it. So from this point, it takes it to, as we get to, this is actually early afternoon on Labor Day Monday, and it has it still very strong. Didn't really lose any strength whatsoever as it gets to this point. Freeport's down here, so it's just northwest of there, very close to the coast here of Florida. But then it takes a very slow trek to 24 hours later. Didn't really move too much. It went from here to here, okay, in 24 hours, and that's not very far. So during that portion of time, there's some upwelling occurring because of that colder air being brought to the surface, and this weakens on the HWRF down to a Category 4. Continues northwest because of that upwelling and makes landfall near Cape Canaveral. All right, so there are some models indicating that it is going to happen. It's going to come from here and head northwest and will make landfall in Florida, which will change the ball game downfield here, because then it weakens over land. Up here it is up near Jacksonville now. This is now up near Savannah, and then it comes back and reemerges over the coastal waters of South Carolina and eventually heads towards North Carolina. That's what the HWRF shows. The global models are keeping this well offshore here by a good 50 miles. You are getting some fringe impacts here of tropical storm, if not hurricane force winds along the coast, because it is larger and it's very close here. So you get some hurricane force winds up here along the coastline, and then it just does a big around the bend type thing here where it narrowly misses most of the southeastern U.S. coastline and then heads northeast until you get to the Outer Banks, and then it hits the Outer Banks there. Very possible that it happens that way, but there is a possibility that you can still make landfall here. And you can see in the National Hurricane Center, 11 p.m., cone of uncertainty kind of spreads out here on either side. But they have moved this west a little bit closer to the coast, expecting major hurricane just east-southeast of Cape Canaveral by 8 p.m. Tuesday. So that's very close. Very close, and we used to be out here. Now they moved a little bit closer, allowing for that little west track here, a little closer to the coast, but it doesn't have it making official landfall on the National Hurricane Center plots. So that doesn't mean it can't do that. Doesn't mean it can't. So we have to watch this. Today's a critical day to see where this goes. Today and tomorrow will be critical because it's going to be very slowly crawling up here, still maintaining Category 4 hurricane status, even all the way up to here. And I think it's still a major hurricane up here southeast of Savannah, probably Category 3 at this point and weakening, and then probably a 2 or a 1 up here as it accelerates northeast. You'll notice the outside of the cone here is including New Jersey and Delaware. I don't think it's going to happen for a direct hit there, but again, you could have some fringe impacts closest to shore points, maybe some tropical storm force gusts and some heavy rain for a time here on Thursday night and Friday morning. We'll keep a close eye on that for our area. I don't think the impacts are going to be that great here, but that's what we're really concerned about. If there is something we need to alert you about, because if this does shift on the western side of this track instead and impacts more of our region, we will certainly have to pay attention to that a lot more, since we cover this area up here, not so much down here. But I did want to cover the hurricane and go over what it could be doing over the next couple of days. We're going to be watching. We zoom this out a little bit just so you can see going over Grand Bahama right now. And I think anywhere from, if you pull along the coast here, here's West Palm Beach, Jupiter's right about here. And then Port St. Lucie, Fort Pierce, Vero Beach, and then up here's Melbourne, Palm Bay, and then that is the Space Coast, or the Cape Canaveral area right in here. So north of there, of course, is Daytona Beach, and then north of that even further is Jacksonville. Anywhere along that coast here has to watch very closely, and then further up the coast into places like Savannah, Charleston, South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, all the way up to Wilmington and the Outer Banks, North Carolina, maybe down the road a little bit. But we don't know exactly what track this is going to take yet, and whether it comes from the coast or stays just close enough off the coast to provide some pretty rough impacts all up and down the eastern coast here, and then further into Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. But we'll continue to monitor the next couple of days and keep you informed of the latest as soon as we get the new information. I'm EPAWA meteorologist Bobby Marchich. That is our outlook for September 2nd, 2019. Have a great Monday and happy Labor Day.